Good evening. Welcome to the Select Board's meeting on February 21st. I'll call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. This meeting is being broadcast live on BNC TV and live streamed on YouTube. To find BNC TV on YouTube, go to youtube.com and search for Bernardston-Northfield Community Television. This meeting will be available for later viewing by following the link at townofbernardston.org. You can also watch channel 1075 on your Comcast dial in Bernardston. And you can always go on a Sunday morning when you're drinking your coffee and look it up on BNC TV and enjoy the show. First order of business is the warrants. I'll entertain a motion for the payroll warrant in the amount of $49,218.50.
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion on it? Nope. All those in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion for the vendor warrant in the amount of $70,204.46.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion on it?
Nope.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, just let people know Brian couldn't be with us tonight, but he will be back at the next meeting. Entertain a motion for the regular meeting minutes of February 7th, 2024.
So moved.
Any additions, deletions, corrections? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
There'll be a joint meeting with the Finance Committee and the Select Board is scheduled for Monday, February 26th at 6:30 p.m. The purpose of this meeting is the FY25 budget review with selected departments, boards, committees, and commissions. Vote early in person on Saturday, February 24th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tuesday, February 27th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Wednesday, February 28th, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And Thursday, February 29th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Town Hall. Last day to register to vote in person is February 24th. All persons can be registered online at the Secretary of State website, www.sec.state.mass.us. The Planning Board meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 26th at 6 p.m. Town Hall. Is that a special Planning Board meeting, Chris? No. Okay. The presidential primary will be held at the Town Hall on Tuesday, March 5th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the annual town caucus is scheduled on Monday, March 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Town Hall. We hope a lot of people will come out and participate in the town caucus. We always have kind of a hiccup and really hold our breath to make sure that we have enough people to run that meeting. So please come out and you can nominate your special person to whatever committee or board that you would like to have them participate in. Is there any citizens' concerns? Hearing none? Oh, I have some, is it? Can I? No, okay. Appointments. We have the folks from the United Arc are here to talk to us tonight about the 5K run. Sandra Vecchio and Michelle Collins, you do please come up. Vecchio,
come on
I'm
up,
sorry.
have a seat. There's
Sandra
chairs
Vecchio
here.
and
We do have a guest with us as well. Yeah.
again the name.
Now say your last name, Sandra.
Fred Warren?
Vecchio.
Okay.
Vecchio.
Vecchio.
Yeah.
Okay, you're here to talk about is this a fundraiser or is this just that you're doing, or is it?
Well, it's going to be our first annual fundraiser, 5K, obviously. We're leaning more towards a fun run, if you will. And we wanted to Bernardston to host it because we were thinking about having the finish line at Hitchcock. And so it'd be starting at Pratt Field. Well, Hitchcock Hop kind of sounded good when I started thinking of it, you know.
It just seems like a good ending destination.
Right.
Yeah.
I did print out the initial route that we were considering, if you will.
Thank you.
Let's go into Fred.
You're gonna make us run up the hill?
Surprisingly, it is a little 204-foot gain elevation. Yes,
That's why it's
I
called
liked
a
it
fun
because
run.
of the wood or the wood, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the dirt. It was going through the woods.
Yeah.
Softer, easier on people's feet. I don't know, are you a runner or anybody here a runner?
Yeah, back in the day, right?
Yeah, me too.
So you're gonna have a path through the woods?
So it would come around Pratt Field
Okay,
and then go up West Mountain Road. And where that mirror is,
yeah,
take a right, West Mountain Road.
Yeah.
And then you do the turnaround. There's that one jut out area where we could have a station to actually have beverages and energy drinks or energy bars. And then do the turnaround and literally come back the same route.
okay. Now, parking, where are you gonna have the people parked that are gonna attend to this?
It would be Pratt Field.
Okay, you gotta be very careful with the parking on Pratt Field because that's aquifer.
Okay.
So, we probably should use the same parking area that we use for the gas engine show.
Is that the one by the bridge?
By the bridge, no, it's before the bridge. Just as you turn down the street, it's on your right-hand side, you see a little entryway that goes up there. They park the cars up there and walk down to Pratt Field.
Okay.
There wouldn't be a lot of parking down on Pratt Field itself, unless they
right.
just parked alongside the road.
Right.
And it's probably best to hook up with Brian Miner,
What's the spelling of the last name?
M-I-N-E-R.
Oh, Minor. Okay,
Minor,
thank you. Sorry.
Just to discuss that.
Okay. And he is,
Huh?
what's his position?
He's a highway superintendent.
Highway superintendent. Okay.
Will you require police?
We don't believe so, but that is a question that we have.
I did speak to the chief,
Okay.
and he didn't allude to having any officers. On the contrary, he just asked if we would be having people stationed along the way. So my impression is that we don't need to have any kind of police.
Road closures during the
Road
race.
right. Well, at the time too, I don't think he knew where we were going to have the route. So that may change. I thought he was going to be here this evening, but
We can socialize this with him.
Okay.
You and I will do that.
okay, great.
Yeah, 'cause Karen, my thought would be that he might want to have a cruiser down there just on the start where they're going to come out onto the road and cross it and
Yes.
come back around, just so nobody gets hurt. And awareness there. But that's something we can work out.
Yeah.
You're planning for a Saturday or a Sunday?
It would be June 8th is what we're leaning towards, a Saturday. The race would begin at 9, but we would have to do, setup and pre-registration and such like that. 7:30-ish, I think maybe we would be able to come out and do that in a reasonable amount of time, and then mark the course, if you will.
Okay. And how about the cleanup, the area when you're done?
Oh, we'll just leave it all for you.
That's
Work for you?
a young man here that he likes to do things on the weekends.
We, of course, would take care of all of that. That would
Very
be an
good.
issue, yeah.
That's
yeah,
great.
Yeah.
You have volunteers, you're recruiting them, you're...
Yes, we have volunteers from our organization, plus,
Okay.
family members of the volunteers from the organization.
And the entry fee?
We're thinking $30, which would include the T-shirt.
Oh, we get a t-shirt.
Yeah.
To the first 500 or what?
No, for each runner.
Okay.
We are in the process of looking for a racing company to do the timing. We're not sure of the cost yet, so we might just do it ourselves because it is a fun run. Are you familiar with what they charge usually?
I
Or?
have no idea.
Okay, we don't either.
It's work in progress.
And then we, with Hitchcock, we were going to, again, have the finish line there in the parking lot. So Genevieve is checking with Kringle to make sure that that's an okay thing. And it shouldn't interfere with the farm tables opening because they don't open till 4.
Right.
Right? And then they were going to have open the restaurant up, or the brewery up a little bit earlier and give the runners discounted beers.
Yeah, and whatever you work out with them, I think it'd be fine with us. I have no problem with this at all. I think it's gonna be a great activity, and a good use of the Pratt Field and get people out walking.
Right, right. And then we also were thinking if that was too steep of an incline, I have an alternate, but this is more on the road. So I don't know how you feel about that one. It probably would require a little more police presence. Thank you. You're welcome. And it only goes up a few feet versus 200 and some.
Yeah, that's, I would suggest that you visit the police chief,
Yep.
Chief
Yeah.
Paul Mary, because he would,
Yeah,
he'd
that's
have
it.
a good, 'cause he has a good understanding of the roads in Bernardston and the heights and stuff, and he could probably really help you out with this.
Okay.
As well as the highway superintendent, Brian Minor.
All right, right.
They're the two key people for this. And whatever you and them decide is be fine with me. And
Yep, agreed.
Great, thank you.
would you like to make a motion on this?
I would make a motion to approve the United Arc hosting a 5K run, walk, roll benefit fundraiser for the agency on
June 8th.
Saturday, June 8th from 9 o'clock start time.
And I will second that. Any further discussion on it? I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. We thank you very much
Great.
for considering
you.
us and look forward to having this happen on a yearly basis.
Oh, absolutely.
We
We're
hope so too.
super excited about it, and we have a surprise person
Oh, yeah, we
that
do.
will be at the start of the race that we hope people are super excited
Oh,
about
let's
too.
just tell them.
And tell them.
Okay, so we've been working with the Springfield Thunderbirds, sort
wow.
of. We actually, March
Okay.
3rd is Sensory Sunday with their game, and it's going to be the United Arc Day. So their mascot, Boomer, is going to start the race for us.
very
Good.
So we're excited about that.
Yeah, we thought it'd be fun.
So
Great,
good
so
luck.
we'll be in touch.
Good luck.
Thank you so
Lovely
much.
meeting you all.
Absolutely,
Are you
thank you.
advertising it? Any place we can.
Yeah, mostly on my Facebook. Well, our Facebook.
Facebook, our
Oh,
website.
And Sandra, you can go right to the police chief for
And
your meeting with
anywhere
him.
around here.
So
Directly.
if someone wants an
Oh,
You know,
application,
just go with him
where are they
directly
gonna get
as
that?
far as determining the
I'm sorry?
routes.
Where are you
Okay.
gonna
You know,
get an
And then
application
we'll
to
link up with Brian.
sign up?
Where are we gonna have it? It's going to be on that site that we're trying to get a hold of, the racing timer
Okay.
company. So that's where we're leaning towards, again, depending upon the cost. If not, then we're gonna have it on our website, theunitedarc.org.
Is that something we could do a link off of ours?
Yeah, we'll
Awesome.
definitely link it, the registration, that's right, and then, yeah, I had registration and like how you're gonna advertise it, so.
Right, right,
So that's how you're gonna
absolutely.
do it? Okay, great, like a
Yep.
flyer even or something?
Absolutely, we're gonna do
Okay.
that too.
Just
Yeah.
make sure I get all that, that'd be great.
Okay, wonderful.
We'll advertise from our website, we'll link it to yours or whatever.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you
All right.
guys so much.
Yep.
5K sites where you can just go on and see like what races are in your area, so we'll register
I'm
on
gonna be
that.
on those.
Oh, right,
So,
okay.
There's a couple different avenues.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Anywhere and everywhere.
Well, we'll be in touch.
We've
Thanks
had it
again.
here
Thank you. It was
before.
lovely meeting you all.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank
Nice to
you.
meet all of you.
All right,
Moving on.
thank you. All right, we'll see you, yep.
Sorry, we probably took too long.
No, not at all. It's the fun stuff.
That's right.
Next up, we have, we're going to be discussing again the FY25 MVP grant process with the Leiden Selectboard, John Lepore, and David Paremza. And I probably didn't say that right either.
Come on up front. Can you come to the
Pomerantz.
table?
So, why don't you come on up?
Come up to the
and,
table.
Okay. This is the Municipal Vulnerability and Preparedness Grant that we're trying to get back involved in. The next release on this is, or response is mid-March 2024. So we're here to discuss to see if we want to continue on or how we're going to do that. And John, I'm going to give the floor to you because you seem to be the guy that knows all about this stuff.
Well, I don't know about that. But yes, thank you. So the plan is to reapply. This will be this, for this grant. with a few changes that we've outlined in here. Where focus is going to be primarily on assessment of areas that are vulnerable to forest fires in both towns, as well as access, finding access routes, and also sources of water. And we would use a multi-prong approach for that. That would include citizenry, local knowledge, indigenous knowledge, of course the emergency management, as well as the firefighters of the towns.
Yeah.
And hopefully we would get a pretty good assessment or an idea. Plus we also have what we didn't have last year. We met up with a DCR official, David Salino, thank you, who is the state forest fire, is he? Warden. Okay, thank you. And they have a website that we mentioned in here that will make a huge difference in terms of having access to rather coarse information, but it will give us another good starting point to use that along with some geographic information services regarding soils and their drainage and et cetera, and as well as using forest cover. That kind of information is really available. Everything we do would be field verified with drones and also on-site visits as well. And basically once we get the areas identified, then we would have to seek landowner permission to have access, if they would allow us to access, if they want to participate in any kind of an assessment, and then we move forward with.
Certainly to their benefit.
Yes, it is to their benefit. The strong aspect, one of the strongest aspects of this proposal, like we had last year, which I think is really important, is the idea that this could be duplicated, where our focus is on trying to use really available open source or low cost software and devices that any town could pick up and use. We plan on creating a manual or some kind of a document that a town could say, hey, we want to do this. This is a software and this is how you use it, and so they could follow it step by step in terms of that same process. Okay. That's a pretty important component of it.
Yeah.
And of course involving citizen scientists. We'd shifted to the second year, and then there is, I think also is mentioned in here as well, there's also, as you probably are aware, there's a tremendous amount of funding coming through federally for this kind of work. Okay. So this opens a door for other possibilities in this area, for protecting our citizenry as well as our natural resources.
Well, let's talk a little bit about how we're going to organize this year. So I know last year we had some problems. Leiden was the lead town, so to speak. And you're saying here, it looks like we have to decide who's going to be the lead municipality?
Correct.
Okay, and do we know what the cost of, when it says we're going to require to match 25% of the total, do we have any idea what the total might be around?
So, if you meet certain criteria, including population size and other criteria, the match is 10%, which is what it was last year. So
Okay.
25% is sort of the standard.
Gotcha.
But Leiden and Bernardston would qualify for the 10% match. So theoretically, it would be 5% for Bernardston, 5% for Leiden. So one of the key things and this is why Glenn is here this evening as well, is to figure out, as you said, Stan, how is this going to work? We had a meeting with Karen and Chris and John and myself a couple of weeks ago, but that's really going to be the crux of it, is if Bernardston is interested in being the lead applicant, what would be the management structure that you're going to use internally to monitor and run the grant? Because John and I are interested in actually doing the work in the field. So there's the sort of the management piece interacting with the state. And then there is that relationship with Leiden and Bernardston as far as sharing resources and equipment that gets used during the grant. So maybe we could talk about that for a minute. And Karen, if you have done any additional work since we were here, that would be good to know too.
I have not done any additional work since you were here. Regarding, I mean, basically what the takeaways from this meeting are to determine many things before
Right.
proceeding.
Right.
To know, now is, and then I think who is going to administer the grant or is that project manager? Is that the title that we're using? Or is it used interchangeably? What are you calling it? Because I see project manager and then there's grant administrator,
Right.
right? So I think that needs to be determined too. Who's going to take the lead? If the two towns are doing it, who's taking the lead? Then that'll play into who's going to manage the grant, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm waiting for those things to get answered before
Yep.
Well,
kind of doing
well,
anything
that's what we're
else.
trying to answer here,
Right.
is when you talk about who's going to take charge of the management of the grant, couldn't that be our grant writer,
Capital,
capital strategic?
yeah.
Couldn't that be the person that we could use as the manager for this?
It could be. Personally, and this is my opinion, I think that we'd be better off getting someone more local that knows the communities and we could have, clearer person-to-person contact with, as opposed to someone that's in another
Yeah.
part of the state.
Okay.
I think this is the type of, this grant is, I would guess, and I don't know anything about capital, but I would guess that they've probably not done an MVP grant that involves work of this nature. They may have done municipal kind of work, which is very different than this project. So the very
They do
nature.
quite a bit. I mean, they do quite a bit in rural Massachusetts.
Okay, I don't know, I mean, I don't.
I think that's a good question to ask them, and then on top of that, there is a new business starting up
Mariah.
that's
right.
going to be a grant writer for this area. And this lady is, I think she's working in urban right now. And she's starting her grant writing business, and she wants to work with small towns. So we could reach out, try to get that name, reach out and see where she's at in that business, and maybe find out from her what she would charge us to manage.
I have tried to reach out to her, but again, she's not starting until March.
Right.
She's still an employee of Irving, and so I won't be reaching out to her till next. I looked today, matter of fact, and there's no contact information available for her for that business yet. The only thing that pops up is what her role is for the town of Irving. So I don't think we really should be talking to her till she's in business.
I'd talk to her
right?
now. I'd definitely talk to her now, because she's already put it.
I don't know how to get a hold of her though. It's through
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
we can
or-
go through Urban and find out what her contact is, because she's already put it in the paper.
Right.
It's not like it's a secret thing, so it might be worth it. But we need to talk to Elizabeth at Strategic. That's the right name?
No,
Elizabeth?
Blythe.
Blythe, and see where they stand on it. And
I kind of agree with John, now that you mention it, though, I do agree with him regarding just the complexity of this grant. There's so many requirements. It's a pretty high maintenance grant with the reporting. Like,
Right.
whoever's going to be the administrator for this it's going to be very time consuming. And so of course we will do that, Stan, by all means, but I think finding a project manager or a grant administrator local is a key takeaway there.
I'm gonna put my 2 cents worth in, it's not her.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. She's already doing a lot.
okay, well, if it's all right with my partner here, we will. If it's all right with Leiden, we will consider being a lead town, unless you guys want to.
So just to give you a quick overview of where we're at, we were presented with this idea for the 2025 submission with the understanding that Bernardston would be the lead grant. So we didn't discuss that this time around, but I know from our past experience that we just don't have the capacity within Leiden. Last year was different in that the project management wasn't going to be handled by Leiden, but this year the project management is something that there's funding for. John and David have decided that's not the best fit for them. They're going to focus on the technical implementation issues. Sounds great to me. The project, we didn't get to talk about the plan. It came after our meeting yesterday, but it has all the qualities that we really liked last year. It's an exciting project to get this data for all sorts of reasons. So it's really just what's expected of Leiden. Our MVP focus this year like last year, is to try to get funding for this very vulnerable section of West Lyden Road where this bog is going to wash out the road any day now. And so that's our primary focus. We wouldn't have the capacity to do both at the same time this year. But the concern we had last year, and you would know more than I do because I know pretty close to nothing, but I saw Michelle walked in, she can be a resource on this, is not just the project management part of it, but also the reconciliation. And this is a reimbursable grant. I assume you have experience with that, but there's just a lot of town work that can't be outsourced to someone else. That's that in itself was beyond the capacity of Lyden to manage. So so we wouldn't have the capacity to do that. Basically, it would seem like that's not our concern. If you feel like you have the capacity, that's great. But
What kind of town work are you talking about?
So my understanding, and Karen, please jump in because I'm going to be talking over my head. But my understanding is that the reimbursable grant means that the town covers the expenses for things until the paperwork's submitted and approved, and the money gets reimbursed. So there's this floating the money part that is complicated, and there's a commitment that goes along with that. If the money doesn't get reimbursed, then the town is the backstop to make sure that vendors get paid. So that was a responsibility that we didn't feel comfortable taking on last year. In addition to that, there's a reconciliation of that whole process that. Again, I know how demanding all those grants are for Michelle in our town, and that we wouldn't have the capacity to do that. That would be the lead town's responsibility.
The lead town to provide the grant administrator.
And around all the bookkeeping, around
right.
the payments, and the working with the vendors and getting the vendors approved.
Right.
It's
a lot of work.
It's
So
a
the
huge
cost
amount.
of that administrator is borne by the grant as well. That's factored in, so we're not on the hook for, yes, we have to prepay it. We have to pay the person to do the job and then submit the claim and get paid back. That's my understanding. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there an amount that you have in your head that says it's going to be 10% of? So what is that 10% number?
For the management?
For the grant itself.
The overall grant.
Oh, the overall grant, probably, we haven't crunched the numbers. But last year's was, I believe the total was 197,000. We're probably looking somewhere in the lower 100s.
Lower?
Yeah.
So instead of 197, you're talking?
We're going to go lower. We had a lot of other
Back,
jobs
right.
in there that, in hindsight, we felt that a lot of that work would be done by us if we weren't managing the project. For example, community presentation, stakeholder outreach, and creating graphics and running drones, those kinds of things, and making contacts or whatever. A lot of that work would be done by us.
If it's low 100, then it's 10% of that and 5% for us, 5% for you.
Correct.
So we might be on the hook for, give or take, anywhere from 5 to 10,000, and equally Lyden.
Unlikely, because if you have a meeting, you discuss it, it counts all those people in attendance of that meeting count at a certain rate. I believe it's something like $35 an hour. So if you do 10 people, times 2 hours, a 2-hour session, you've got
20 hours in on $35 an hour.
Right, exactly.
$700.
It doesn't take long to get up
To spend that money?
Yeah. Well, let me give you another example. When we did the DCR grant for the trail grant for the Cherry Farm lots, just before you were on Stan was here, Bill Montilio and I more than doubled that amount of time that was required for in-kind payment. It was not hard.
So the participation of the two towns up to 10% can be in kind?
Yep.
Good, okay.
So it could literally cost you nothing.
All right. So what do you want from us tonight?
Well, couple things. One thing we need to do, first of all, before we can even begin the grant process, is we need to get approved for a Section 19 with the State Ethics Board. That's one piece. And then, of course, I believe it's Section 20, which is the Special Municipal Employee
We can
status.
approve you, we don't approve you, because you get approved by Lyden.
Right.
It depends on my understanding, again, over my head, but my understanding is if they have two roles, either of the two can be made a special employee. If it's the role that we share, we both have to vote on both
I see.
request.
Okay.
If
That's
it's
good.
MVP,
Clarification.
EMD director, then it would be just us.
I thought we voted that in already.
We did. He's voted in as because, and again, it's not the person, it's the position that you're making special. So as a planning board member, we made all the planning board members our special municipal
Great.
employees.
So it's just David that we got to worry about.
Right. And
But
so,
there are some papers he has to sign and
Right,
fill
well,
out to complete the process.
well, we found more, remember the letter has to be done and the disclosure form has to be done. Right.
So that means that John can do the work.
Well,
That's the plan.
Okay, so,
It's good to have a plan.
sure.
Morrison's
Yeah,
gonna take the lead.
I think he has something
Yeah,
more to say.
sure.
Huh?
Yeah, let me just to, this is a very early stage. We got a preliminary proposal, we will want to see, the detail of the in-kind expectations, the accounting for, what the expectations are for volunteer work, and, that's, I don't have any reason to suspect that's not totally doable, that it's not going to be a cash payment for in-kind, for the matching part, but in-kind. But we'd like to see a detailed accounting of that. We, of course, want to know if there's any expectations of Leiden, so we can have all that to think about. But one of the concerns that we had from last year is a concern that the MVP administrator, so Andrew is the contact person, I don't know to what degree he's a decision maker, might be skeptical about a resubmission. So, we would certainly encourage, this is not our direct concern, this is their concern, but we would encourage them to reach out to Andrew to make sure that they support the resubmission before a lot of time is invested. And
What do you feel with that, John?
Well, he sat right here and he told us, we asked him that
Yeah,
question
so I
point
think we're all
blank.
set with all that.
And
We don't
he-
have to make this harder than what we need to make it hard.
Right.
We just-
Yeah, I think too, though, the exemption letters for 20 or the disclosure forms definitely should go in front of town council too before we make sure. I think we should run this by our town council too, just to make sure.
Okay?
I mean, we went through the ethics commission, they told us what we needed to do, and it sounds like it's so easy, it sounds like no problem, but we might want to just run
What are we running, basically, what are we?
the disclosure, chapter 19 and chapter 20, the ethics piece to this, being that they're, not so much 20, but 19, the financial disclosure form of actually writing the grant, and he is the writer of the grant, and then going to be working on the grant, getting paid for it. So, and as a special municipal employee, which he is long, we're saying that we're okay with that he's doing that. So you sign out the disclosure form and then everything should be fine. So, but still, I just think we should run it through town council once the forms are filled out. That's just my recommendation.
Makes sense.
Where do you feel with that, John? I mean,
I'm sorry?
how do you feel about that?
I think it's a
Right here.
smart move,
Right
just
here.
to have, make sure we're doing everything we need to be doing.
Please, say that again now. 'Cause
I feel as though it's important to have it verified by a local council to see that we're doing everything we need to. I'm not sure, quite frankly, I'm not always that comfortable with the ethics board understanding of small municipalities. And so, we want to make sure we've covered all the bases, legally, and we've done everything we need to do so that when they get it, it's very clear that
So where do we go from tonight? Where do we go from here?
Well, I have no problem making a call to Andrew just to verify that, Glenn's question, but, I know I believe it's in the minutes of the meeting that we held back when Andrew was sitting here. We can do that. And then we need to, before we can even begin writing the grant, we need to have the section 19 in place in there.
I also think you need to determine who the administrator of the grant's going to be. I don't
Right.
think we do any. I think you got to decide who's going to run the grant
Right.
and if that's a big one.
It is a big
And then
one.
whoever that person is will be doing all of this stuff for you.
That's right.
That's my point.
And it's a very good point. I started to mention it before the meeting began, but you do need to put a name of a person in the grant application, a point person, then that's going to be really important. Now, we have until May to get that before the grant is in, so we have some time to, you know, if it's Mariah or whoever it is, we have some time to get that, but we should get the ball rolling to figure out who that person's going to be, and, you know.
And just a heads up again, I don't know anything more than to ask a question. Erica might know more because she spent a lot of time with this last year. But I'm not sure if the person managing the grant, if they're not a town employee, whether you have to go through the procurement process to hire that person. So it might not be as easy as selecting someone before the grant is submitted. It might be a much more complicated,
Right.
again,
I see.
time consuming for the town of Bernardston to run that process. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Right.
And
He
Yep.
lives up there.
Why don't we get a hold of Andy? Because this is getting all too complicated, folks. We're making this like it's the end of the world right here. It sounded like to me. Let's get a hold of Andy. Let's get him in here. Let's sit down and see where we're going to start, how we're going to go about this, and get all this other crap out of the way.
He won't know about the municipality, especially
This is just getting.
He will not know. They did not. The EEA knew nothing about Section 19 and 20.
We'll get a hold of Blight. We'll find out what she wants to do, if she can help us, and then go from there. I don't think we need to we're making this too complicated.
I agree.
so
Way too
at the
complicated.
risk, Stan, if you don't mind, at the risk of making it more complicated, my understanding is technically if the grant folks at MVP do not support a reimbursement, that as lead town, Bernardston would be liable for that expense. I want to make sure that if there is an expectation that Leiden would also be liable for part of the expense, that we're approached about that, because our understanding is by not being the lead, we don't have that responsibility, and if we did, that would be a very different conversation within Leiden.
We can't answer that tonight.
Yep, I get it, yep.
But I just, if we're gonna go forward with this, I mean, if this is gonna be that big of a problem, or this much of a problem for that grant, then maybe we ought to just dump it. I mean,
It's your call.
No, I mean, that's, because I can't believe that they would have a grant out there that would be so difficult to get involved in. That's what I'm saying. I think we're making it harder than what it has to be.
Well, the reality is, I think on a state level, as you well know, Stan, most of these towns that are applying for these grants and getting them are much larger and have a much stronger, or much larger administrative force to shoulder all this stuff so that it would not be so complicated.
But we've been involved in grants before, and we haven't had to go through it.
And as far as Glenn's comment about, you know, I hear that keep coming up, and I understand that that's a concern, and we certainly would not want to put any financial burden on either
No, we don't.
Bernardston or Leiden. I think it's important to understand that we delineate the specific deliverables in our financial statement, in our budget. You know, what it will be, who will do what, and how long it will take. And those are check marks for anybody to be able to get paid, to be able to do that. And that's a very time, that takes as long to do as write in the grant, quite honestly, because you have to anticipate all the different components, and you can change those pieces, but you have to let them know prior to that. The likelihood of not getting reimbursed by the grant, I think is going to be pretty slim. I'm pretty confident that David and I can manage this grant, or not manage it, but can oversee it and work with a manager to be able to pull this off.
That means you can't write the grant, right? Is that correct?
No, if we do a Section 19, I can write the grant and get paid by the grant. I know, it's believe me, it makes your head spin.
It is spinning right now.
I can see why.
So what's the next steps? Talk me through the next 3 or 4
Well,
steps.
it sounds like we need to you want to get Andrew in here and talk with him and see what he has to say about it. I'm not sure you really need Andrew. I think we need to, because all Andrew's going to say is whether or not we can apply for it. That's the only question he can answer for the same grant.
So we need to have a grant writer.
We need to, yes.
Okay, that's number one. The grant writer.
No, we are the grant writers. He and I are the grant is pretty much written. We're going to revise it.
Okay.
Okay? That's us doing the prep work.
So we need a manager.
We need a manager.
Administrator, what's the title of that?
Project manager is how
Project
they.
manager, okay.
That's why we got to get the terminology straight. So project managers, you need someone to, once you, let's say you get the grant, you need someone to manage the grant afterwards. So it's project manager. That's what you're
Right.
calling it. Okay. So there's a preliminary administrative work to process and prepare the grant for submission,
Right.
which is not a problem. But it's the work, it's the managing the grant after you get it, and
Right.
that's the person that need that. Right. So there's two different things going on.
Well, after we get the grant, you'd be manager, wouldn't you?
No, he doesn't want to do that.
You
No.
can't.
Right.
We want to do the actual technical aspect of it. We want to run the meetings. We want to engage the community. We want to do the field work. We want to engage the foresters and the various personnel in doing the assessments.
Okay. So what we need to do for you folks is we need to get the project manager question answered. We need to get the person who's going to manage a grant through the process answered for you. And we need to make sure that section 19 is all
Legal.
set and
For
going
John.
forward.
Right.
Not for David?
I would process the one, Bernardston would take care of John's paperwork for disclosure, and Leiden would do David's.
Is there somebody from Leiden that's going to be able to?
So we already talked with our town council about that
Good.
process last
Who's
year.
your town
so,
council?
So same as yours.
Say
Great.
Very easy there.
Great.
Yeah, and there's a timeline for when details will come out. We need to see the details. We just want to make sure that everything was on the table now in this
Yep.
very early
Sure.
kind of planning stage. And thank you for inviting us to.
No, we
I just
will.
have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you identify yourself? I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's Erica from Leiden. David and John, is your project manager going to be doing the reporting and the reconciliation as well?
That's the plan,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So they would have to go through procurement, so it's just something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But procurement involves,
Like a specific, like combine, like you're talking a specific procurement, or like, I mean, or they would give it to me and I would purchase, is that what we're talking about?
you would have posted job description and you have to take up to 3
Okay.
bids.
Right,
Right.
okay.
Right, scope, job description. Yeah.
And that's, the project manager would do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start working on this, then we'll have to have another meeting with you two to start putting the pieces together.
Okay, and then I don't see a problem with us getting a response from Andrew right away. That's an email.
Okay, you can do,
I can figure
I
it
got
out for that
Yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah.
to Karen.
Yeah, Jane?
Yes, I think I heard somebody say that both towns have to make these guys special employees, since it's a joint grant. So John has to be a special employee of not only Bernardston, but also Leiden.
So
So Leiden would need to take some votes.
They're already working on it. They're
So-
already working on it.
And we need to take some votes for, yeah.
Can
We're
I
already
respond to
working on
Jane?
Jane, yeah.
Jane, we asked Donna about that, and again, this is a year ago, and not the sharpest brain here, but my understanding is it depends on which of their two positions we're making the special employee position. So if we were making the technical managers of the grant, the special employee position, then we both would need to sign off on both of them. If we're making the EMD director position, then only we need to do it, and if it's the planning
Right.
board, only you need to do it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
You're welcome.
That's helpful. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we know what we need to do.
I think so, yeah. I mean, that's, it sounds like we've
Please
got.
keep us in the loop.
Oh,
as
absolutely.
much as
So
possible.
just to recap,
Yep.
Yeah,
we're
let's
going to
recap.
check with, I'll check with Andrew. We're gonna get the section 19 checked out by council
Donna.
and by Donna. And then what would the other pieces we need to do?
Identify who the project manager is going to be and get agreement from them that they're willing to serve in that role. And that would potentially be either Capital Strategic or this Mariah, who I don't know. And if we want to, we've already got Capital Strategic in place.
Yes.
Would they,
We don't have them in place. We don't have them. They don't know anything about this.
But they
grant.
know the town.
Yes.
Mariah is
Mariah, yes.
she might be a wonderful person, but she's not up and running, and we need her up and running.
She's gonna be in March.
No.
Today's the 22nd, whatever it is.
So you're saying it's not, we're gonna go out and find the project I'm gonna go out and find the project manager, basically.
I think between the three of you to have a conversation with Blythe, whether they're on board with taking on the responsibility of being the project manager. That's not fair? You don't want to do that?
No, I think preparing the grant for submission, I think we three can make that happen, right?
That's what I'm thinking too.
I think we can do that. I'm talking about if the grant gets awarded, the person that's the project manager. That's the person that needs, that we have to have some thoughts about, even though.
When we spoke with Capital Strategic 2 years ago and agreed that they were going to be our grant writer, their secondary role is to administer the grant, which is the project manager role. They have that skill set. They've done it for other grants. So it's not as if they're on a learning curve here.
So let me just see, because I think what Karen just said was pretty important. We haven't got the grant yet. We're only applying for the grant.
Right.
So until we actually get the grant, why can't the three of us work on it? Once we're awarded the grant, then we can.
Because on that grant, don't you have to put who the project manager is?
Not yet. You do have to put a point
It's
person.
a position, it's not a body named Ken.
Okay.
It's a position at this point.
All right. So you're just admitting that you're going to get this.
Right.
What happens if either or Blythe and or Mariah says, no way, I'm not doing this?
Well, I think it's worthy of a conversation. Absolutely, it's worthy of it, but I don't think it's something we need to do right now. It's something that we should
Erica?
do.
Sorry, to your point, John, you do need a point person on the grant, and that will be the person who is doing the reconciliation, doing the reporting. So you do need to identify not a position, but an actual person with an email, so that the grant, the MVP, can actually contact them if they have questions about the grant. They don't go to the grant writers, they go to the point person of that grant. So it's sort of, it is a key person, company, or position that has to be identified prior.
So before you even get the grant, you are basically, it sounds like you have to hire that, I mean, from looking at it that way, you have to hire that person to manage the grant that you don't even know you're going to get. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Someone has to talk, someone has to be, the MVP or the state or whomever does have to be able to talk to someone very specific about the context
But that could
of
be
the grant.
right. That could be
That's the point person.
that could be a point person that's assigned by the select board. In this case, Karen.
No.
Nope.
See, that's what's gonna
That's the
happen,
problem.
and that's what I'm trying to communicate, that that's not gonna happen.
She doesn't have the
No.
Getting the grant moving and applying is fine,
That's what I'm talking about.
but after the fact, that's it.
That's
you know?
what I was trying to say is getting the grant and getting it moving. They're going to need the name of a person that they're going to say, okay, we need help. This needs to be clarified. There needs to be a person in place. It does not need to be the grant manager. It just needs to be a point person.
Right, something they can, like they call you and say, we need to have an answer on this, then you send that
Right.
message to whoever is the person that's in charge of it, and they give it back to you and you send it back.
To be honest, I think you need to clarify that, because in all of
We're
the
gonna-
experience of the grants that we've written, that point person remains a consistent thread through the application, the question of context, and the reconciliation. So it's a simple question to whomever, so that everyone is on the same page.
Okay, I can ask Andrew that.
Yes, please, Ray.
Yeah.
And get back to us.
How defined does it need to be at this point?
You let me know when you're gonna, so you think you can contact Blythe and I'll come in and sit down with you with that conversation.
Yeah, to be the executor, okay, yeah. we'll
The
do
project manager.
See,
Yes.
you might be the point person to her.
that. I still, right, okay, all right.
So, I mean, Lou used to always be the point person for us on the grants. The questions would come under him, and he'd be the person that sent it out to the,
The requirements for this grant are a little more extensive than what I've ever seen now. It's included in the packet of what the monthly, there's so much involved with it. So, we'll do that, and then, gentlemen, I'll get with you. Next week, I'll reach out to you. And
I'll get
set
right
some-
on it with Andrew and have an
Okay.
answer for us.
Yep.
Okay,
Good.
thank you.
Thank you.
We're trying to make it,
Keep
we're
us
trying
in
to
the
unravel it. Thank you.
Keep us in the loop.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Glenn,
Stan.
thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Leiden.
Thank you, Erica, for coming in. Okay.
That was easy.
Yeah, we still don't know what we're doing with it.
I,
So that was real easy. Okay, next order of business. I gotta get my cheat sheet here. Okay. We were gonna have a discussion on Pratt Field because of the fundraiser that was mentioned along with the rec department and stuff, but Bob Allen cannot be here tonight, so we'll probably have to put that off. However, talking about that situation, as far as the entrance road going into Pratt Field, I had a discussion with the highway superintendent, and he feels for $2,500, he could gravel that entrance, like the way he wants to have it done, and it would be done right. And then my thought would be that, after we fix it and get it the way it's supposed to be, it'll be evaluated after every event. And if they ruin that area, they'll have to pay to have it repaired by our highway department. Yeah, but we need to, but saying that, we need to have a form written up that people have to sign when they going to use Pratt Field for an event, that stipulates all the things that we want to have done after they leave, to make sure everything is done right, and what the rules are for using it and not using it. I thought we had one for Cushman Park after we had that fiasco last year. I thought that was done, but I don't think Karen was even able to find that. Were you, Karen?
No.
So obviously that didn't get done, so we got to figure out that, because remember we had that, and we wanted to make sure that something had to be written up that people were going to use the park for a show or for whatever. If there was inclement weather coming, they would have to reschedule, so we wouldn't go back into that mess again. So again, I'll get involved with you on that, and we will see what we can come up with tightening that up.
so pre-inspection, so the person going in there knows this is where it was before they
Right.
drove any vehicles or did any damage to it. Then a post-inspection to say, okay,
Right.
you cleaned up your mess, everything's good.
Yeah, we talked about a town usage form for property, similar to the BES, when people want to use the Bernardston
Yep.
Elementary School.
Use that as a template.
They have to fill out a usage form and everything's on the form, so
Yep.
that similar process could apply for the town properties if you'd like.
Yep.
Correct.
So, yeah,
Makes a lot of sense.
for whatever ones that you want to do it for, that is.
See, we have to, when we talk about Pratt Field, we have to remember that it's an aquifer. And you just can't go in there and fertilize with anything you want to fertilize it with. The water department has specific rules on the fertilization of that whole area. So we just can't have somebody go in there and say they're going to level it out, reseed it, fertilize it, and that stuff. It has to go through the water department, and they'll tell them what they can use, what they can't use. So it's a whole process.
Right.
So that's why we need to talk to Bob Allen before they do anything.
So we want to table this?
Yes, we're going
We're
to
not
table
gonna
this,
approve
but
the
I think that
2,500, or do you want to put that through?
the $2,500, I'd like to see if we could put that through on the ARPA, because if they're having a slow time right now,
Yep.
this is a good time for them to do the work. I've asked them to work around the pond at the library, to start cutting that down, and he said they definitely could do that.
I know they're doing some tree work as well.
Yeah.
Doing some painting in town hall as well,
Good.
so we like that. Don't get him too busy.
So I would make a motion that we authorize the expenditure of $2,500 from ARPA funds to purchase the gravel for the entryway onto Pratt Field.
I will second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on from that. Okay, now, the highway superintendent has received several calls regarding the discontinuation of accepting fluorescent light bulbs for recycling at the transfer station. And he would like to start that back up. He has talked to Jan Amin from the Franklin County Solid Waste Management Division. And there seems to be no regulatory requirements that the light bulbs have to be stored in a secured locations, so the electronic trailer would be sufficient for that. And he would like to start that up as soon as possible. So we need to, if we agree, we need to make a motion to approve the recycling of fluorescent light bulbs at the current fee.
Do we have any idea what that fee is?
I don't, it's written on the,
It's, Brian, do you remember? Because Brian looked it up too, and it was a head scratcher, but whatever it was before, it's gonna stay the same, so it's,
Yeah.
you're not increasing the fee. But Brian had,
My recollection is that it was free.
okay,
If you make it too expensive, the people will just put it in with their trash.
No one ever charged me for bringing them over there.
And
That's why I
we looked
believe
up-
it's free.
yeah, it's not on the fee schedule either online.
And it
So
doesn't
we'll-
exist.
So, but,
Right.
it's not gonna increase if,
So I would modify your motion to eliminate the last four words. Make a motion to approve the recycling of fluorescent light bulbs at the recycling at Bernardston Transfer Station.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on from that one. The next we have is the Comcast,
You skipped
there's the
the,
liquor license.
at the very
Stan.
top of the page.
okay, very top of the page.
Page 5.
One day
Oh,
look.
I'm looking at another thing, so don't get me confused here. Please. Okay, the Senior Center is gonna have a photographic club, is hosting an exhibit on Monday, March 18th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Is requesting a one-day liquor license to serve champagne and wine for the event. I think this is a good use, and I think people would appreciate us doing this. So if I'll entertain a motion on that.
I would make a motion to approve the one-day liquor license for the Senior Center Photography Club to be used on March 18th from 3 o'clock to 5 p.m. for the purpose of serving champagne and wine.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a letter here for us to sign for continuation of the Comcast adding additional 7 miles of broadband internet access to our town. And I'll read the letter. It says, Dear resident, as you may know, an intergovernmental agreement was signed on February 1st, 2023 between Mass Tech, Comcast, and the town of Bernardston to develop a mutually agreeable approach to expand broadband access to the town that resulted in the town select board voting to accept Comcast's proposal to extend broadband infrastructure by approximately 7 additional miles to provide broadband internet access to underserved residential premises within the town. Comcast has completed the design and necessary pre-work to move forward with the line extension project as soon as we receive the licenses required to attach to the poles in the project areas. To date, Comcast has been able to build to and install addresses on Fox Hill Road, Mountain Road, and Huckle Hill Road. However, we are still waiting for licenses for the pole owners to attach to the poles in the remaining locations within the project area. The timeline for receiving the remaining licenses is difficult to pinpoint because it completely depends on the pole owners. We have received licenses from Eversource, and we are waiting for Verizon to complete the other licenses. This has taken longer than expected due to the need to replace some telephone poles in order for Comcast to attach. Weather is an additional factor, specifically freezing temperatures for digging and setting new poles. Once we receive required licenses, the project will take approximately 2 to 3 months to complete. We are doing everything possible to expedite the project, including the pre-work necessary to move forward as efficiently as possible once we receive the licenses for the project area. Sincerely, Stan Garland, Brian Keir, and Ken Bordewy.
You need a motion?
Yeah, motion to sign the
Motion to sign the,
Comcast MPI project update letter.
so I made that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye?
I second it. Okay. The Upper Pioneer Valley Veterans Service District membership. The Upper Pioneer Valley Veterans Service District requested a 3-year approval for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on January 3rd, 2022. The Commonwealth issued a 2-year approval starting July 1st, 2022 and ending on July 1st, 2024. The district will be processing a request to the Executive Office of Veteran Services to extend the district for 2 more years. Individual member towns must now vote through their respective select boards to continue on as a member of the district for the next 2 years. All terms of the original intermunicipal remain the same, with Greenfield paying 56% of the district budget. The remaining 44% assessed to the other member towns. Only the total population has been adjusted. We need to make a motion to accept your agreement and continue on as a member of the Upper Pioneer Valley Veterans Service District for the next 2 years, ending July 1st, 2026.
I would make that motion.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye?
It's right there for you to sign, Stan, I'm sorry.
to sign.
You just got to sign that.
I said all those in favor?
I said aye.
Aye. Not only can't see, I can't hear.
Don't get me laughing.
Thank you.
Now, on another note, this is, okay, we'll read this one. 6-Town Regional Planning Board Subcommittee. There's a lot going on with our school systems in the district. We have our Pioneer Valley School Committee and staff over there working on a proposal to house all of our schools in one place at the Pioneer Valley thing. And we also have, beyond that, we have a group working on a 6-town regional planning board that is trying to pull the 6 towns together to have the district enlarged so we can have a better curriculum for our students, perhaps more sports. I can't necessarily say it's going to cost us less. It probably won't. The only thing that might save us is, in fact, the administration office will only be 1 instead of 2. So that might help a little bit there, but it will give us a better service for our students if that should happen. None of this is going forward yet as far as, because it hasn't been brought to the townspeople to really consider which direction they want to go to. So some of this might come up in annual town meetings if it's available, or it might not. We'll have to see how far it gets between then and there. But as this states, on January 3rd, the Planning Board voted to recommend creating a new regional district agreement for the towns to consider in the spring of 2025. The Planning Board needs our help in developing this government document by having a representative serve on a Planning Board District Regional Agreement Subcommittee. In an effort to keep the subcommittee manageable, the Planning Board will appoint no more than 3 of its members to serve with 2 representatives from each town. The Planning Board is asking for the Select Board to solicit recommended individuals who wish to work on the subcommittees. If anyone is interested, please contact Town Administrator at BOS townofbernardston.org.
Is there a
Now-
timeline?
I understand so far, we have Jane Dutcher that would like to be on it, and Stephen Nestenpower that would
Okay.
like to be on it. If anybody else would like to entertain or be part of this endeavor, please contact our Select Board's office and talk to Karen, and she will present that at our next meeting, or otherwise at our, Jane, does this have to be voted into them tonight, or can this,
I didn't see the letter, so
no, I didn't say that here, but.
By the 29th of February.
but
You know what, hang on, I'm sorry, my apologies, that's when the next meeting is. There is a cutoff of when they want the names back. I'll find out what that is, but,
I was wondering if we could bring it up and vote at the next meeting, and see if anybody else puts their names
Well,
up.
your
Or
next meeting is next Wednesday,
for
so
the-
perhaps you could have asked people to respond to Karen by Tuesday, and then you can take
Okay.
it on
yeah,
Wednesday.
sounds good.
Okay, so we just heard that. Our Select Board's next meeting will be next Tuesday, and next Wednesday. And by the way, that's a meeting with the Pioneer Valley School Committee to present the budget. So people out there listening tonight, if you would let people know that would be probably a good meeting to listen to. You'll get an explanation of the increases in the budget and the reasons why. So please try to attend that, and we'll vote on this as well. Moving on from there. We were going to discuss the municipal website design tonight. We need to really hold off on that because we were planning on having a discussion with the Finance Committee on the server grant and this website thing to see, get the full thoughts of how we feel we can go forward with this down the road. The first year isn't going to be a problem paying for this, but so people know, every year you have a service agreement that you have to pay for. And like for the website, it would be $3,187, and then for the server, we're not sure what that would be yet. That could be $10,000 to $20,000. So we have to have that discussion to make sure that we could afford doing this moving down the road with seeing what our new revenues are that are coming into the town and that type of thing. Both of these are very much needed. There's so many things that we can accomplish with the website and the server. I've never been a fan of all this technology, but in the last month, of things I've been doing on at home on the computer, trying to find out information, I have come to realize that we can get more information out to our residents and give them a tool that they can log into and keep informed on what's going on in the town. I think it might be worthwhile, but again, we have to have that discussion. So we will not vote on that tonight or bring that up. But and while I'm saying that, if anybody out there has comments on something like that there, or thinks we're way off base, please send a message in to Karen. We like feedback, because that makes us think about things, and we can perhaps go out and get the answers for those concerns, and it might change the way we think as well. So please, if you have questions, concerns, please notify us. Okay, next on the order of business is we have the fire department key access boxes. We have a locksmith quote tonight. We received a quote for $2,998 from Smith Associates Locksmiths. And this is to put the Grandmaster system. It's a great effective way to access all locks within the buildings by using a Grandmaster key. Grandmaster keys will be cut and stamped. Now the reason for this is, first of all, we need to redo the town hall office keys, because we've run out of keys, and we got to get a handle on where those keys are, so we need to change all these locks anyways. But the second point of that is the fire department brought to our attention that they could use a master key that could get into the building and then get into every office in case there is a fire in the building and it's specific to one office. Yeah, they could get in, they can kick the door down, but if it takes time, if they have a key, they just get right in there and take care of things. And that's not just for the town hall, that is also for, I know you gave me a sheet in here on it.
All town buildings.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
for all the town, it's for all the town buildings for this to,
Yes, you're talking, I didn't hear you, Stan, I apologize. It's for all town buildings
Yeah.
minus the police station.
right. So I think it's a good idea, and I would like to see us,
Make a motion to accept the quote from Smith & Associates Locksmith Service for $2,998 to be paid out of ARPA?
yeah.
Town,
Now,
the town building.
yeah, we can use the town building.
Town
funds.
Building Fund? Okay, thank you.
I
To be
will,
paid out of the Town Building Fund.
I will second that for discussion. Just so you know, that includes the town hall, the library, the senior center, and the highway garage. So I think that's a pretty good price to have all that done, and then we'll be up to snuff on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, we got the, gotta read this here, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I thought we did this the last time.
You just got to sign it, because there were some corrections that need to be made.
Yeah,
It's just a couple of addresses we
Right.
needed.
Yeah, I made the corrections, so,
Okay.
for the, in it.
This is, just so people know what we're talking about, this is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, goes to William Francis Galvin, Secretary of the Commonwealth, for the warrant for presidential preference primaries. Last time we read this, it was the Country Corner Store that we put a thing up about. We have changed that to, because the new name of it is the Marshall's Country Store, so we updated
And
that.
also, was 7 South Street Bakery still, and so I changed that to Sweet Lucy's.
Okay.
What happens when you take old paperwork and reuse it?
Okay,
So we don't need a motion, we just need to sign it.
Right,
I
right.
needed you to re-sign it. and-
Done and done.
Good.
Brian didn't sign it.
now,
Here.
Brandon Grover has given us a estimate to put a wireless sensor in the, for the combination smoke and heat detector at the library where the vault is, where we keep our records, and that's a cost of $175. Could I get a motion to accept that?
We'll make a motion to approve the addition of a wireless sensor to the vault at a cost of $175.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Do we have anything from the town administrator?
Yes, I have a couple things, thank you. So I think I already told some people, but I sent the town, the annual town report was submitted to Highland Press today.
Okay.
So that was my very first book, like you said, right? So anyway, there should be no issues getting it back. You'll see the proof before it goes final. He'll send back the proof, and then, but there should be no issues getting it back in time for the annual town meeting, getting the reports back, so.
Which is,
The 29th of April,
keep saying that so we
Yes.
get people to come.
yes.
May I ask how many you ordered?
75?
Because last year we
There's
ran
not
out.
enough.
And again, I can go back, so what,
Yeah,
how much
I
should,
would get 100 anyway. since
okay, because
people
I
were
went off what
getting
Lou
one
ordered
after.
last year, so,
Yeah,
okay, too easy.
Look at 2 years ago, what was ordered and go someplace in between.
You got it. Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Um,
That was my question.
An update would be on the FY23 financial audit. I made a follow-up call with Tom Scanlon today and Associates. He was one of the audit firms, financial audit firms. She apologized profusely, saying that he just hasn't had a chance to get back to us. So he's supposed to call me tomorrow. And then at tab 1 in your binders, and Jane, I gave you a copy, is a list of other audit firms that DLS has used in the past. And I was thinking maybe you guys could take a look, you could take a look at the list, if there's anybody familiar, or maybe give me some recommendations,
Wow.
because it's a lengthy list, and I will definitely call some of these people, but I thought maybe I could get some of your input if anything was familiar. And you don't have to do it tonight, but.
You can't
just-
afford KPMG.
Yeah, I didn't want to start,
And Markham can't do it because it would be
Right.
conflict of interest.
So-
Lincoln and Heath doesn't exist anymore.
They are Markham.
and again, you can do this on your,
right.
and just get back to me, but
Good.
if you could review that list, that'd be great. And then tab 2 in your binders is, in addition, the DLS, they have a technical assistance bureau that's available to assist our town. They have a financial management review. It is an operational overview of local accounting, treasury, collection, assessing, overall administrative functions. Apparently it's a free service, but this is what DLS sent me when I asked about the financial audit. So I don't know if this covers a legitimate financial audit, but
No, it doesn't.
it doesn't. So,
We did have that done in 2012.
yeah, so,
I got a copy of it.
okay, great. I'd like to see that.
You must have it in your
I
file.
probably do. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting thing as far as something to maybe consider down the road. It doesn't cover, check the box for the audit, but if you were
Want to
ever.
put that on the agenda for the finance committee to talk about? Is it appropriate?
The state audit?
No, as in this DLS
the
review.
Oh, this group of things?
No.
it's the one in your hand, your left hand.
The other hand.
Tough when it's all on my lap.
If you're in, do you think that's something we could do? I just was throwing it out there since I came across it in my audit search,
I think you guys should look at the one that we had done because
If it's useful,
it doesn't come out as good as it sounds.
Really?
I
okay.
don't know how to say this.
Okay.
You're on camera.
They will tell you of some improvements you can make, but it's not a real, it's more an audit of your procedures and processes
Okay.
than anything else.
All right, and then the last thing I have is just an update on the inland dredging grant application. We're like 90% complete.
90?
Yeah, 90. The only thing we have left to do is Brian has to come up with a cost estimate for the
This is
project.
Brian Minor.
Yes, and then we are ready to turn it in. Turn-in date's 1 March, so we're good to go. So we'll make the deadline, and it also as a friendly reminder, Brian is not in the office tomorrow. He says that vacation day, so if anybody wanted to reach him. And that's all I have.
Okay. Ken, do you have anything for us?
I do. It's a small thing, but it's also a big thing. The library went through its inspection the other night and passed with flying colors. I would encourage everybody from town to take the opportunity to go into the library and see what a wonderful job they did. It is your library. It is beautiful. It is open. It is airy. It is clean. The employees are incredibly enthusiastic about it, and they should just, all of them, be commended in the work that they put in, particularly from the leadership, Brandon Grover, Henry, and I'm
Anne Marie.
Anne-Marie Milan, I'm not sure how you pronounce
Wendy,
Malin.
Malin, and Peggy Shippa, who is our acting librarian.
And Mary's
Mary,
Mary
yes.
also.
They just put in an incredible number of hours, and
I saw others in there cleaning.
oh yeah, and I shouldn't list names just because I'm not including everybody, but they're all to be commended. And please go visit and see how your library looks. It is phenomenal. You won't believe it. The other thing is real estate tax bills. Just a reminder that they're still not out, and we have a couple more steps to go to get certification and get them printed and get them out the door, but they will be due on May 1st. So you got time once you get them in your hands to do your budgeting to get the payments made. And that's what I have.
Okay, and just back to the library, I did witness that the people were taking the books off the shelf, they were dusting them. I can't say enough about how they made the downstairs look.
Oh, it's- yeah.
so nice, and it's just wonderful to see that, and we will have the area around the pond cleaned up on the outside. We've got the landscaping done on the outside of the building, so it's really, really, really looking good.
Something to be proud of.
Yeah,
It is,
and
yeah.
hopefully it will stay that way. Anything else that come before the select board? Jane, you got anything?
I wondered if Ken wanted to announce the tax rate.
What?
No, you can go ahead if you, 1364.
1634.
I knew we got
per thousand.
That's why.
Our first submission was 20 cents more than that, and a correction was made to the amount of money received for cannabis tax, and that lowered the rate by 20 cents.
Okay. So far, the marijuana facility has been doing great for the town of Bernardston, and we hope it continues that way. So that's a positive. Anything else from anybody?
I would make a motion to close the meeting.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.